Hey dude, you better put down the gun. That's looking a little bit dangerous.
Hey guys, what is going on? It is your boy Jqzee, and we are here today to do a full penny guide on how to carry gems, things like tips and tricks, and how I got my penny up to 600. So, let's get into it. So, there's two kind of sides to penny that I'm going to be talking about in this video. One being the essentials that you need to get her to kind of the 400, 500 range. And then after that, the more complex things that you need to get her to, say, above 500, maybe 600, 700, pushing for number one in the world, stuff like that. So, in terms of the essentials, the number one thing you need to know with Penny is the mortar placement, because that's her special. That's the thing that's actually controlling the map. Of course, it's a bit of how you play. It's a lot of how you play, but if you can get the right mortar position and kind of based on your enemies and things like that, you can really control a map. In fact, you can actually take back middle, because in gem grab, that's all the entire game is pretty much. It's mid control. Unless something crazy happens in the last countdown, it's all going to be about mid control. If you can keep mid for the entire time, you pretty much win the game, and that's exactly what Penny lets you do. So, you should go into each map, because Brawl Stars added that little preview button to see your map. You should go in playing Penny, knowing where you can put your mortar. Hey guys, little voiceover interjection here. I'm going to show you guys where I decided to put my mortars on the map. I'm going to do a few of these kind of interjects where I forgot to mention stuff. So, I would put them here, and probably here if we're super pushed up. You want to put your mortar behind walls, kind of in cover, but not so far back or so far pushed up that it's not really relevant. Because if it's too far pushed up, the enemies will just destroy it, and what good is it then? And if it's too far back, they're not going to get hit enough. You want to apply just the right amount of pressure to hold mid and keep it relevant in the game. So you'll notice in the gameplay right now, I'm kind of putting the mortar in very similar spots, and based on where the enemies are and how we're controlling mid, I am putting the mortar accordingly. So it is a good idea to do more aggressive mortars once you get Penny's star power, but obviously not everyone has that. Probably not a lot of people have that. So I'll get into that later. It's a really good idea to put your mortar in some sort of cover or grass, especially initially close to the start of the game, when enemies aren't really sure how to play against a Penny or aren't really sure what you're gonna do as a Penny. It's really good to conceal your mortar right off the bat, and you can get some really cheap, easy damage and change the turn of the game. Because gem grab's a very quick mode. These are sometimes 1-minute games, just right quick. You want to be able to really take advantage of the time that you have. Secondly, in terms of knowing your map, what you want to do is preview the map again or go for a couple warm-up games and see where the most populated areas are of the map. So the beginning of a game is so important with Penny, and I can't stress that enough, because that's when enemies like to bunch up. Especially on certain maps, you can shoot right away at the start of the game and get an insta-kill if it's a squishy brawler they're playing, which can be huge in terms of gaining mid if it's 3v2 right off the bat. But these shots don't really come automatically. It's kind of tough to hit them, because enemies only cross over the paths for a split second in time, and if you miss that shot, there's no getting it back. So it's up to you to be in the game prepared to hit those shots right away. And that's what's going to help your team excel past the start and gain mid-control. Next, we're going to talk about leading your shots. Leading your shots is very important with Penny, because you will not hit any pretty much if you don't. Now, as the gem carrier, you have to know when to back up and when to push. So this is different for Penny than it is for Jqzee or Pam or Poco, another gem carrier, based on the fact she's a long-range brawler. So Jqzee could be considered one, but not really to the effect that Penny is. It's a quick shot, it's right in your face, but it can go a fair distance. And so you really have to be aware, how far back can I sit comfortably, still hitting shots, but out of danger. If you're not confident in your juking ability, you might want to sit kind of further back. If you're very confident, you can play kind of mid to forward, but you always have to be aware, especially based on the enemies you're playing, of when to get back. Brawlers like Primo or Leon or Bull or Daryl, when they have their supers up, you really have to be aware of that and play accordingly. Because if you die in your spawn with all the gems, and you can spawn up and your teammates are around, it's not a big deal. But if you die in middle or in their end with the gems, you could have just lost your team the game. The thing I can't stress enough is just practice. Practice with Penny. Try to focus on some of the things I've told you already in your practicing if you notice that you're not really excelling as quickly as you'd like to. Okay, just to sum up what we've already talked about, we've talked about mortar placement, knowing your map, like the choke points and things like that. We have talked about leading your shots, and we have talked about when to back up. But it's all about practice. You're not going to get better just by watching this, you're going to get better by playing. So now that you've kind of learned the essentials to Penny, we can move on to the more complex things. You've already got your Penny up to 300, 400, 500, and now you're kind of stuck. You notice that you're getting carried by your teammates, you don't feel like you're doing a lot in the games. The first thing I'm going to talk about is knowing your enemies. Know who you're playing against, because Penny hard counters players like Nita, since they can get the extra damage, the 3 spread, right off the bear, and many Nitas will go right behind their bear, use it as a shield. If you can hit the bear twice with Nita right behind it, that's an insta-kill. Penny also counters characters like Tara with star power when they get her speed demon coming out of her portal. Penny hard counters it. Penny essentially counters any character that spawns something. Additionally to that, you have to play forward or back based on what enemies you're playing against. If your enemies can push up on you, then you don't want to be close. If they're high damage dealing up close brawlers, you want to be further back and wait for your team to help you push up. So following and knowing your enemies, it's not just important to know the brawlers they're playing, it's important to know the person behind the screen and how they like to play. So right at the start of a game, you'll be able to see how someone jukes, if they go side to side, if they zigzag back and forth kind of thing, if they go all the way one way, wait till you shoot all the way the other way. You'll be able to see that, and it's up to you to see how they're juking and play accordingly. If a player is zigzagging, this is your time to use auto aim at long range. So if a player is going all the way to one side, waiting for you to shoot, all the way to the other side, waiting for you to shoot, you can't use auto aim because it's just going to shoot where they were. If a player's going back and forth and you keep trying to lead your shot and keep missing, this is a great time to use auto aim. It's going to shoot right in the middle, hit them almost every time, because not a lot of players will change their juking style based on game to game. A lot of them will play exactly the same way the entire game, even if it's not working for them, because that's what they know, that's their second nature, that's how they're moving their thumb every single time. So it's really important right away to see how is this player juking, how is this player juking, and you can play accordingly. Obviously, it's a lot of information to try to figure out how each one of the players is juking and shoot for all of them. It doesn't make any sense. So what you want to try to do as the gem carrier is find out how the other gem carrier is playing right away. You want to be able to shoot that gem carrier every single time and take them out. Next, I'm going to be talking about Penny's star power. It's really, really cool. It got buffed in the most recent update, so now it actually hits the enemies and can be used very offensively, or it can be used defensively to kind of help keep mid control. So what's really cool about her star power is your turret doesn't have to be destroyed for all the bombs to go off. It's anytime you place a new mortar, so you can use this tactically when the enemies are pushing up. A really neat play is putting your mortar at the top of middle or even right behind a wall close to the enemy spawn and weakening them all as they come out of spawn, going for a team kill with your team. This is the only time you should put your mortar randomly, is when you're baiting out someone to destroy it. You should still follow your planned mortar positions, but if you want to play a little more offensively and take out enemies before they even have a chance to push up, and they feel like they have to kind of retreat, go back, heal up before they push again, this mortar placement is a great idea. The next thing I want to talk about is shot conservation and picking the right targets. So, with any long-range brawler being Brock, Piper, Penny, you want to conserve your shots. You really don't want to waste them up close or just randomly, because then you're not going to have enough for when the time's right. With Penny, this is so important. You have to know when they're going to cross paths, and you have to hit that shot. That's a really important shot that could change the game. It's all situational. Once again, it's up to you to identify that situation. Picking your targets is the most important thing in generally playing with Penny. You should always be looking for the lineup. You should always be shooting, if you can't see anyone, into the most populated areas. Right off the start, you notice, oh, they love to go in this grass patch. You should always be kind of shooting in there, because you can get some crazy plays with Penny if you just hit one of them and two more are just in the background somewhere, because the spread shot goes for a really long distance. With Penny, if they get too close, you can one-shot squishy brawlers like Spike, a huge damage dealer, and you can really change the game. Again, Penny is a game changer that you can absolutely take advantage of. So, just to sum up this kind of section of Penny, the complex side of her, we have talked about knowing your enemies, when to use auto-aim at long range, Penny's star power, and shot conservation with picking the right targets. So, that'll just about do it for my kind of Penny how-to gem carrier tutorial today. If you guys did enjoy, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe down below. Penny's my favorite brawler to play, honestly. So tell me what your favorite brawler to play is in the comment section down below. And have a great rest of your day, guys. I will see you later.